so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so
Morning.
grateful. I am so blessed.
Morning.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed.
Oh,
I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have.
This was
I
perfect.
am so blessed. I am so
I
blessed.
read it and read it and read it.
oh, good. I'm glad you did. I see you printed it out too.
I did. Yeah. Right here on my desk.
Okay. Well, we'll have to, and the announcements, you can tell people where you got it from so that they can go look too, just in case they missed it. Okay, sounds good.
By the way, did you get my text? Lily's reading this morning.
Who's reading? Lily?
Lily.
Okay. Yeah, I see it now.
Yeah, I'm here.
Good morning, Lily.
Good morning, everybody. I guess, let's see here.
Okay, so. Okie dokie. Mike, good morning. Where are you? All right, you're on mute, Mike. There you go. Okay, good morning. Go ahead and get us started, would you please? Okay, so let's see. You're still on mute, Mike.
Mute.
Okay, there you go. All
Now,
right.
okay. All right.
Yeah, all right.
Well,
Good
again,
morning.
I want to say the same thing. Good morning to everyone, and thank you for joining us in the spirit of perfect harmony. We are the Center for Spiritual Living, West Georgia. We study and practice the philosophy and science of the mind we know as God. And with our spiritual presence this morning, we rise above any negative energy that may have prevailed this past week and manifest love. And we know love is more peaceful, synonymous to God, and we thrive on it. Our master teacher, Reverend Dr. Sandra Jackson, will proceed with our service this morning. Reverend?
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to CSL West Georgia Virtual. Yes, we are coming to you from Georgia, but we are inclusive of everybody from California, Nevada, Arizona. Thank you all for being here with us this morning. And so we want to begin our service realizing that while we are in many places, we are what? One. So let us close our eyes and turn within and join together in a consciousness, in a conscious realization of that oneness, in the conscious understanding that we all stem from that one consciousness, that one mind, that one beingness, that one spirit, that we express in various places, in various bodies, that we have various expressions of the divine itself, but we are still one. We stem from that one, just as the roots of one tree have many roots, and they have many branches and leaves, but there is only one trunk. And so we are knowing that right here, right now, right where we are, God is, that the spirit, the presence, the life-giving force that is in and through and as each one of us, that force that woke us up this morning, that brought us to an awareness of who we are and what we are in this very moment. That is the very essence and core of our being. And we are totally and completely steeped in it this morning. We are fully and completely aligned with it this morning. Our hearts and minds are open and available so that its influx of divine energy, of enthusiasm, of creativity, of wisdom and understanding can flow easily, freely, and comfortably in us and through us and as us in such a way that we can use it in our individual lives abundantly, joyfully, peacefully, with deep understanding, creativity, and wisdom. And so we are open this morning to this truth, to this understanding, to the glory of this day and all things that are working together for our highest and most wonderful and creative good. And so knowing and accepting that this is the truth of who and what we are and what is going on in our lives this day, I release this word now, knowing that we are coming together in joy and in love, in peace, wisdom, and understanding. And so it is. Amen. Okay, so let's see. Good morning. All right. All right. So I don't know what I do. Oh, Marcia, you're up next.
Good morning. Good
Oh,
morning.
Marcia made us new slides. All right.
I've been playing around.
Yeah. Thank you, Marcia.
So it is now time to focus in on our vision and mission statement. CSL West Georgia is a joyful global community where everyone belongs. Through our unique spiritual teachings, we provide a safe environment to experience compassionate living. And our declaration of principles: I believe in the unity of all life and that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. There is one life of which I am a part, one intelligence which I use, one substance which takes form as my life. And so it is.
Okay, and that's what our prayer was about this morning. Okay. And we have a guest this morning, and a guest musician. It's Tim Morrow. He's coming to us from, guess what? California. All right. So, Cynthia, you want to introduce him?
Yes, good morning, everybody. Good morning. We are so happy to have Tim with us this morning. And he's coming to us from Fremont, California, where it's 7:30-ish in the morning or 8 or way early. So thank you, Tim, for getting up. And he has a special message for Reverend Sandra. So here we go, Tim.
Okay, so Cynthia and Marcia were talking to me this morning about this and recommended I just tell you real quick. When I attended your service last week, I was reminded of this Sunday morning back in 1983 or so, when I was a very awkward and painfully shy 17-year-old, and a friend of mine at school invited me to the youth group.
Oh my God.
At his church, which was the first church of religious science in San Jose. And so I went along with him, and we sat down in the room that youth used to meet during the service. And in walks this young woman with a hugely glowing presence and proceeds to teach us this lesson on the subject of unconditional love. And I was like, whoa, this is different, but I like it. So since that day, I've been a student of this teaching, and I've never looked back. The woman I'm talking about, at the time we knew her as Sandy, is it pronounced Threadgill?
Yeah.
Today we know her as Reverend Dr. Sandra Jackson. So it's great to reconnect with my very first teacher.
And it's good to be connected with. Thank you so much, Tim.
And this song is called New Beginnings. I made a new decision as I principle that I was always taught. Where my mind goes, my world always follows. So I'm taking a new direction with my thoughts. For the sake of being a survivor, I had really forgotten how to live. Until a voice inside whispered, I think you recognize that it's really time for something to give. So I let this end be a beginning. Empty this cup and fill it with something new. I don't need to know how or where it happens. I'll just be the vessel for it to shine through. I've heard a thing or two about painful endings. They're often new beginnings in disguise. So I'll release with love all that needs to go now, and take in this new day with new eyes. So I'll release with love all that needs to go now, and take in this new day with new eyes. And so it is.
Oh, thank you so much, Tim. Oh my goodness. You see, people, you never, ever know where you are having an influence. So you need to always be about sharing love, being love, experiencing love, expressing love, encouraging love. Thank you, Tim. Thank you so much. And thanks for sharing this story too. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's good to see you all grown up. All right. Lily is our reader this morning. All right. You need to unmute.
Mute. Okay, here we go. Sorry. Good morning, everyone. It's always a pleasure to participate in services with you on Sundays, but this Sunday is very, very special to me because after, some things that transpired last week, I just feel so blessed to have a place to come where I can feel, loved and, just thank you. I thank everybody for that. Okay. The reading this morning is, this month's readings are from Timeless New Thought authors. Today's reading is from The Science of Being Great, published in 1911 by Wallace D. Wattles. And it's taken from chapter 4, The Mind of God. There is a cosmic intelligence that is in all things and through all things. This is the one real substance. From it all things proceed. It is intelligent substance or mind stuff. It is God. Where there is no substance, there can be no intelligence. For where there is no substance, there is nothing. Where there is thought, there must be a substance which thinks. Thought cannot be a function, for function is motion, and it is inconceivable that mere motion should think. Thought cannot be vibration, for vibration is motion, and that motion should be intelligent is not thinkable. Motion is nothing but the moving of substance. If there be intelligence shown, it must be in the substance and not in the motion. Thought cannot be the result of motions in the brain. If thought is in the brain, it must be in the brain's substance and not in the motions which brain substance makes. But thought is not in the brain substance, for brain substance without life is quite unintelligent and dead. Thought is in the life principle that animates the brain, in the spirit substance, which is the real man, woman. The brain does not think. The man thinks and expresses his thoughts through the brain. There is a spirit substance that thinks. Just as the spirit substance of man permeates his body and thinks and knows in the body, so the original spirit substance, which is God, permeates all nature and thinks and knows in nature. Nature is as intelligent as man and knows more than man. Nature knows all things. The all mind has been in touch with all things from the beginning, and it contains all knowledge. Man's experience covers a few things, and these things man knows. But God's experience covers all the things that have happened since the creation, from the wreck of a planet or the passing of a comet to the fall of a sparrow. All that is and all that has been are present in the intelligence that is wrapped about us and enfolds us and presses upon us from every side. All the encyclopedias men have written are but trivial affairs compared to the vast knowledge held by the mind in which men live, move, and have their being. The truths men perceive by inspiration are thoughts held in the mind. If they were not thoughts, men could not perceive them, for they would have no existence, and they could not exist as thoughts unless there is a mind for them to exist in, and a mind can be nothing else than a substance which thinks. Man is thinking substance, a portion of the cosmic substance, but man is limited, while the cosmic intelligence from which he sprang, which Jesus calls the Father, is unlimited. All intelligence, power, and force come from the Father. Jesus recognized this and stated it very plainly. Over and over again, he ascribed all his wisdom and power to his unity with the Father and to his perceiving the thoughts of God. My Father and I are one. This was the foundation of his knowledge and power. He showed the people the necessity of becoming spiritually awakened, of hearing his voice and becoming like him. He compared the unthinking man who is the prey and sport of circumstances to the dead man in a tomb and besought him to hear and come forth. God is spirit, he said. Be born again, become spiritually awake, and you may see his kingdom. Hear my voice, see what I am and what I do, and come forth and live. The words I speak are spirit and life. Accept them, and they will cause a well of water to spring up within you. Then you will have life within yourself. I do what I see the Father do, he said, meaning that he read the thoughts of God. The Father shows all things to the Son. If any man has the will to do the will of God, he shall know truth. My teaching is not my own, but his that sent me. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. The Spirit shall guide you into all truth. We are immersed in mind, and that mind contains all knowledge and truth. It is seeking to give us this knowledge. For our Father delights to give good gifts to his children. The prophets and seers and great men and women, past and present, were made great by what they received from God, not by what they were taught by men. And so it is.
Lily, thank you for persevering with that.
I had to read it, go over it a couple of times. Yeah.
And you know what? I should have read it myself.
Oh, it was fine.
Thank you so much. That was the whole talk, you guys. That you're done. That was great. Okay, all right. That was awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Okay, so that was your timeless wisdom for today. Look up there. This is January, and our topic this month is about timeless wisdom and evolutionary vision. And if you have not got your journal, we still have some. And so today you want to turn to week number 2, okay, in this book, and it will be grounding beyond the beginning. Okay, so that's our topic for today, and I hope you will make some notes that are pertinent for you. Timeless wisdom. Wisdom really has been timeless because people from all ages have gleaned wisdom. They've created myths, and they've created spiritual scriptures, and they've created philosophies and psychologies, and they have done all of this trying to understand the world in which they live. And they've left these things for us, and now we have all these wonderful accessible materials from which we can draw. Okay, Plato and Aristotle and the poets like Rumi and Kabir have come up, have sat in meditation and studied, and they brought their wisdom to us in for those two in poetry. But the Hindus like Ramakrishna and Yogananda are also adding to our timeless wisdom, along with Catholics like Meister Eckhart, Thomas Merton, and Pierre de Chardin. Remember, he gave us the thought, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And of course, there was Teresa of Avila and other women also who have, like in New Thought, it's been Evelyn Underhill. Some of you have studied Florence Scovel Shinn and Alice Bailey, and other women as well. And then the New Thought people came along following the transcendentalists of Thoreau and Emerson. And of course, we have Ernest Holmes, who has taken all of these readings, because he's read from all of this stuff. Okay, he's read from, if not all of it, most of it, a lot of it. And he's combined it. And one of the things he said is that that our philosophy is a combination. We look and see where the truth is, and we accept it. Now, here's the thing. What do all of these throughout time, okay? We've gone all the way back to Plato. We've gone, to Kabir and Rumi. And so we've gone Eastern, we've gone Western. And what do they all come up with? That there is one originating source, one reality, one supreme, infinite, individualized, undivided whole, from which you, me, and everything stems. And in the reading this morning, Wallace Wattles calls it substance. So you see, there's different names. Do not get confused by the names. Do not get confused by the names. People call it Allah. People call it God. People call it life. People call it one supreme. People call it infinite. People call it universal. The quantum physicists have names for it as well, because the scientists have also jumped into this game. but they all come up with, we come from one. We must keep that in mind because it means that we are all connected. It means that we are all connected. Think of that. Now, I want you to think of this woman who was born as a little girl. She's female. She grew up in a family. They loved her, cared for her, supported her, and put her through college. And then she went to engineering school. She became an engineer and she went to work for a company. And then she got this bright idea, I could start my own company. So she started her own company and she did her own business and she had her own employees and she did all of this stuff. And then one day she decided, you know, I really like this young man and decided to marry him. So she married him and then they decided to have children. So they had a couple of kids and they raised the children and, you know, life goes on. They have grandchildren now. Okay. So here this woman has had this full, complete, lovely life. It has been multifaceted. Notice that. There is she's had multiple phases of her life. There's the growing stage when she's lived in her family and been nurtured by them. She's had the college where she made friends over there. She's probably had community activities there. She's done service or whatever. She's worked for other people and been an employee. She's had her own business and been an employer. She's been a wife. She's been a mother. She's been a grandmother. She's been all these things, right? She has had a life that is a life of multiplicity. Think about that. Think in terms of this is one person, and yet her life has been what? Multiple expressions of it. There's no one thing. If you say, what is this person? You can't say, well, she's this. You can't say she's a mother and that's it, because you're not going to tell the totality of her, are you? You can say she's an engineer, but that's not the totality of her. That's not the fullness, the completeness of her. Okay? You can't say, there's not one thing that you can say, this is all of her. All of it is part of her oneness. And that is an example of what we are. We are one, and we express in different ways. So Chris is out there in Arizona being himself, and Brenda's being over here in Georgia, being her. I think you're in Georgia, and being no, wherever you are. She's being herself, okay? Lily is being, I know, in Georgia. She's in Villarica, okay? And Connie and Madeline in California and Marty in Nevada, and we're all in different places, and yet at the same time, we are all coming from that one source. The one life breathes each one of us, and we express ourselves in a multitude of ways, and that is the multiplicity of life. The Egyptian mysticism says this guy, his name is Mustafa Galdala, and he writes about Egyptian mysticism. He says, what is God? One can only define God through the multitude of his attributes, qualities, powers, and actions. Okay? Mother, wife, college student, engineer, multitude of powers and actions. To know God is to know the numerous qualities of God. In other words, the more we understand of the multiplicity of his actions, attributes, etc., the more we will realize the totality of the one, the unity of multiplicity. Far from being primitive, polytheistic form, this is the highest expression of monotheistic mysticism. Now, when I read that, I was like, I recognize this, because in page 116 of the Science of Mind textbook, it says, there is one universal substance whose business it is to take form in multiplicity. Hello. And then even earlier, he says on page 45, mental work is definite. Now, let me tell you, those of us who are working on a vision, manifesting our vision for this year, we have ideas and things and new things that we want to happen in our life this year. We're doing mental work. Okay, so he says, mental work is definite. Each state of thought taps the same principle. Each uses the same law, is inspired by the same spirit, but each draws forth a different result. So Sandy and Marcia are using the same spirit, they're using the same law, they're using the same principle, but they're getting different results. Why? Because they're different. They're expressing God in a different way. Do you see? No two of us is expressing in the same way. That's the multiplicity. He goes on to say, here is multiplicity from unity. This is what Emerson meant when he said that unity passes into variety. As we envision a new life for ourselves this year, we're going to engage in creating our year of joyful manifestation as a community. That's my decision for this year. That's what I'm working on. Hopefully you're working on it too. This is important for us to understand and realize that each one of us has our own vision, our own desires. We have something that we want to happen for ourselves this year. Our results will be different, because even though we're all inspired from the one consciousness, from the one mind, the one supreme spirit that is God, each one of us is different. We are the multiplicity. We are expressing the multiplicity, just as that woman expressed, the woman I made up, by the way, the woman, but it could be anybody, okay? I mean, it could be you, all right? So in his discussion of the universal mind, Ernest Holmes is telling us that all knowledge is in the universal mind, and therefore all things are possible, because the universal mind knows how to manifest anything and everything that we should so choose. But life, he says, always becomes to us the particular thing we need when we believe that it becomes to us that particular thing. In other words, our thought and conscious receptivity differentiates this universal possibility by drawing it through our minds and causing it to flow into particular channels through the conscious receptivity of our different faiths. Okay, so let's break that down. What he's saying is that we all have access to the infinite mind. We all are inspired by that infinite mind. You do not have an idea when you say, well, I would like this, whatever for next year. I want to go on a trip next year. I want to have a vaccine so I can travel next year. That idea didn't come from you. I don't care where you think it came from. It did not come from you. It did not come from who you saw on TV. It did not come from the doctors. It did not come from anybody. It came from the divine mind as one of the possibilities. Do you see? So here we come, we all inspired from that one mind, and yet we use it in different ways. So that we've got that vaccine thing we're dealing with right now, right? So there's one vaccine, well, there's two, but let's just pretend there's one, okay? There's one vaccine that has come from the divine mind. There's people from all over the world who have been working on it, right? They all brought their ideas. They all stem from the same one consciousness. They all come from the same one mind, and they're all picking up pieces and getting little different results, right? And they're combining those results to come back and come up with one vaccine that then they can distribute to all of us who go like, well, should I take it or should I not? Because we are experiencing our own experience of our results. Do you understand? Okay. Some people are going to have a reaction to that because why? In their mind, they believe that they have a problem with vaccines. I've never had a problem with a vaccine. Why? Because I don't think like that. Okay? So what do we have to learn to do? We have to learn to think in the way that is advantageous to our own experience of living the life we want to live. That's where the faith comes in. That's what he's talking about. Through the conscious receptivity of our different faiths. He's not talking about religions when he says faith. He's talking about each one of us have different level of faith. Connie has one level of faith, and Tim has one level of faith. Deborah has another level of faith. We all have different levels of faith. And yet at the same time, we should all be about what? Growing that faith, expanding that faith. What is that? That's our belief, our conviction that the desires of our hearts can be manifest in our world because why? Our ideas come from the one mind of God. And if you're not out doing what needs to be done, then you are letting down God. You're not letting down me. You're letting God down. And you come to the end of your life and go like, well, I could have done that. God's like, I don't want to hear that. I gave you everything you needed. All the thoughts, all the inspiration, all the love, all the joy, all the peace, all the possibilities, all the wisdom, all the creativity. And you have all these books you can go to now. You can even go to YouTube and listen to this stuff on TV. You don't have to be in your space going, oh, poor me. Make a decision. Decide what your life is going to be. Decide what you're going to do this year. You got a whole 12 months. You got a whole 12 months clean as a whistle. There's nothing out there that stopped you. But at the same time, we will get stopped. Let me give you an example. So I live in Roswell, and on Holcomb Bridge Road, there's a shopping center. It's been there for years. It's been there since I was here, since I moved here. And there was a couple little, stores, restaurants that we used to go to and visit. Haven't been there in a long time, but I was driving down there, because of the pandemic, haven't driven too much. But I was driving down there one day a few months ago, and they had torn the place down. It was like the building was just like gone, and there was all this rubble all around. Okay, it looked, as they say, a hot mess. Okay, it was just, I'm like, okay, what's going on here? So somebody had an idea. Somebody had an idea. And that idea they took to somebody and got a blueprint drawn up. You know how I know that? Because they're building a building. It is a good, I don't know how big they're going to build it. So I can't tell you if it's halfway done or a quarter done or what, but they're building a building. So there's got to be a blueprint. So they had an idea, and then they had a blueprint, right? And then they went and got funding. They did the things that needed to be done. But before, whatever this building turns out to be, whatever it's going to be, because it's not finished, like I said, whatever it's going to be, it was an idea that came from God. It was a possibility that came from God. That came from the one mind, from the one spirit. There was the faith, the belief that they could do it. And they got everything they needed. But something particular had to happen. Remember, I told you, if you didn't listen to last week's talk, you should go listen to it about the Christmas stories, because the same thing happens in Christmas stories. They had to tear something down before they could build something new. They had to tear something down to build something new. Now stop and think about how many times, even if they have to tear down trees, wherever you're living right now, I guarantee you 100 years ago, that land had trees on it. And they had to tear those trees down to build whatever you're living on now. Okay? So something has to get torn down in order for something else new to get built up. Do you know where I'm going with this? Okay. We just saw a lot of tearing down this week. We saw a lot of tearing down. We are in the process as a society, and maybe, in the United States, if not the world, we are trying to decide whether we're going to live inclusively or exclusively. All things are possible. We can choose to live however we want to live. But you know what? We are in the process right now of making a decision. Stop and think about. Tim was talking about 1983. Let's see, 83. I was in ministerial school at 82 to 84. So I was teaching, I was a practitioner at that time, but I obviously was learning about unconditional love and teaching it to teenagers, okay? So we were talking about unconditional love way back in the 80s. And it was before me, because Ernest Holmes wrote the textbook in 1927. And people have been teaching this for a lot longer than I have even been alive, okay? So here's the thing. People have been wanting us to love one another. Rumi's teaching, Rumi's prayers, love. Kabir, love. Jesus, love. Ramakrishna, love. Yogananda, love. Pierre Chardin, love. Merton, love. Meister Eckhart, know ye not that ye are gods. People have been preaching love for time immemorial. And what is love? It's inclusivity. It's our coming together. It's our knowing that each person is valuable and valued and an expression of the divine. They are part of the multiplicity, and they get different results because they have different faiths. And so right now we're experiencing the resistance to that love. Some people are going like, I don't want to do that. Why? Because they don't know how love feels. There is an idea for love and peace. And just in our lifetimes, we have all these love songs. We have all these love movies. At Christmas time, every single Christmas movie is about somebody coming to love somebody else and having the love of their life show up in a matter of days. Okay, sometimes they look at each other across a crowded room and see that what is that? We are trying as human beings to connect with one another. We are trying to be inclusive. We are doing our best, and yet at the same time, just as what will happen to you as you are creating your own experience in this year of having the life that you want to live, I guarantee you something is going to have to get torn down, just like that building, because you're going to have to change. And we have to change as a culture in order to have what we so desire. We can't go on the way we have been. And I'm not talking about anything specific. We have to think in terms of what we experience as individuals is what we experience as a collective. Why? Because we are all one. We are multiple expressions of the what? One. Say it with me. We are all expressions of the one. We are part of the multiplicity. And so therefore, what is true for one is true for the other. And what makes it different is the level of faith that we have And I would say also the willingness to align with the truth of who and what we are, to know that truth and align with it. And none of us are in the same place. We're all in different places. We're all growing and expanding in different ways. And some of us have to go back, you know what? It's okay, you just act the fool right now because you don't know any better. But we're going to love you right on through that. We don't have to be specific. We can just say, I am for inclusivity as opposed to exclusivity. And keep something in mind. All last year, all of our talks, all summer long, all winter long, all fall long, had some level of inclusivity about them. Think about that. They were all about oneness. It was all about we are one, we are whole, we are perfect, we are complete. We are one. We express as a multiplicity, but we all have the same source. And we have been told that from the beginning of time. Everybody says it. All teachings teach that the one source is where we all come from. So we have to choose, don't we? If I ask you now to rate your life, your satisfaction with your life on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate your life? Just think about that. Just whatever number comes in, just take that number right now. The closer you are to 1, the more you're going to have to work on your faith. The closer you are to 10, you have developed a large degree of faith. So when you get ready to create something new in your life, you're not going to have to work as hard as the person who's on 1, because what you have gotten used to creating the life you want. You know that you can create it. You have done it before, again and again and again. The person who is at 1 has not done that. They have not created the things in their life that they want. And some of these people who have these beliefs and conspiracy theories they're down on the 1 level. And so they have not created the life they live. Maybe they're not listening to the teachings that you have. Maybe they don't understand that we are all one. Maybe they don't understand that love rules if we will allow it. Maybe they don't understand any of that. So we have to what? Those of us who are closer to the 10 have to be loving and inclusive of those who are closer to the 1. And we have to, being here today, build our faith so that if we are 5 or 7 or even 9, that we need to build our faith so we are at a 10 and can co-create the desires of our heart, which are what? The ideas, the inspiration that God has put in our mind for us to be and do and live in our life. God has not created us all to be engineers. God has not created us all to be housewives. But God has given us a myriad of possibilities, unlimited possibilities, so that we can choose what we want and will therefore back us up, give us whatever it is needed and necessary for us to do what needs to be done. And that is our timeless wisdom. And our basis for all of that, our grounding, is our spirit, that we stand on the shoulders of those who have gone before us and have learned and now know the truth and have written it down and given it to us so that we have a pattern, like Ernest Holmes has given us with the textbook and other writings, that we have something that we can stand on, and we can say, you know, I'm just not out here by myself hanging. Okay. But I know that this is true. Don't just take my word for it. Do it. Work on your own stuff and see what happens. Practice your faith. Develop your faith and see what happens in your life. Work on getting from whatever number you are to a 10 by the end of this year. Don't try to do it by next week, okay? No, I mean, you'll fail. I don't want to set you up to fail. I want to set you up to succeed. Okay? We're Americans, and what we want everything to be instantaneous. Everything doesn't happen in a half an hour or even 3 hours. Sometimes we need a whole year. Okay? So take the year and go from whatever number you are to a 10. And if you're already at 10, change it to 20 to challenge yourself. Okay? All right. I love you all. And thank you so much for being here today and for being who you are. And Tim, I think you have another song for us. Thank you so much, everybody. Okay. Oh, wait. I do prayer after, don't I? Wait, Tim. All right, let's close our eyes. Let's turn within. That talk felt like a prayer. Okay, right here, right now, right where we are, just bask in the awareness of your oneness. Just allow yourself to feel that presence, that divine presence. That divine presence that is your life. It is not the life of anybody else. It's your life. It is right now breathing through you, and absolutely nobody else can breathe for you. Even if they find machines that can do it, that's a falsification, right? And even if a machine is breathing you, guess what? Where's it coming from? It's still coming from God, because everything comes from spirit. So right here, right now, let's just take a deep breath. Breathe in the breath of life. Breathe in the gratitude and the thanksgiving that we have that breath. That as long as we are breathing, that we can be about the business of living life to the fullest. That all the possibilities of life are available to us. That as we breathe and have the faith that we are having a breath, because that takes faith too. The faith that the next breath and the next breath and the next breath is going to be there. We have the faith that we're going to wake up tomorrow. We have the faith that we're going to wake up next week. We have the faith that we are going to be here April 1st, aren't we? And we have the faith that we will be here next December. See, all of that is faith. And so now in between that and that time and this time, today, let us have the faith that the spirit of life itself that is breathing us is also presenting us with all the possibilities we have and our desires to be met in this life. That all the possibilities of our desires, all we have to do is choose and have the faith that truly they can and will manifest in our life. Because we have the faith and are willing to do what needs to be done. And we do so this day in joy and in love. And I want to speak my word right now and know that every person in our world is blessed. And I want to bless individually each and every congressperson, each and every political person in our country, each and every person who agrees and disagrees, each and every person who calls themselves an American, each and every person who is just simply living in our country and experiencing whatever turmoil they may be experiencing right here and right now. Let us just know that God is their source too. That regardless of who we are, where we are, what our life expressions are, that we are all one with that infinite presence of God, and we are spreading that love right here and now unconditionally throughout our entire country and uplifting each and every person. And we are knowing that the very peace of God is within each one of us, that we are connected in spirit, if not in body. And so therefore we are knowing that the truth is being expressed and lived and enjoyed and celebrated every place in our world right now. And I am knowing that this truth is unfolding as I speak. And I am so grateful that each one of us can see beyond the manifestations in the world and have the faith that something great, something wonderful, something magnificent is beginning to grow and expand and show itself in our collective lives, even if we cannot fully see it right now. Something is bursting through the soil of consciousness into the life that we live collectively and allowing us to live more fully, more completely, more joyously, and more celebratory than ever before in our lives. And so knowing this is the truth and knowing that each one of us is doing our part to see and know the truth expanding forever and ever, I am knowing that all is well, and I am in deep gratitude and thanksgiving for this, and knowing that it is done right here and right now. And so it is. Amen. Okay, Tim, now it's your turn.
Okay. And thank you, Dr. Sandra, for continuing to be a blessing well into the 21st century here.
I'm glad to be here.
And this song is called Universe is Calling, and it was inspired by the book by the same name by Eric Butterworth. Larger thought, a greater insight, a greater understanding of spirit. I commit to these things being my way. Getting still, centering myself, knowing that the answer is always within, knowing yes is all God will ever say. The universe is calling, that still small voice is whispering. Are you ready to trade those chains for wings? And when I say yes to life, I'm ready to start living. I'm ready to trade those chains for wings. No more pushing, no more beseeching, no more fighting the nature of reality. Now I realize there's asking ourselves, knowing that the answer is always within, knowing yes is all God will ever say. The universe is calling, that still small voice is whispering. Are you ready to trade those chains for wings? And when you say yes to life, you're ready to start living. Are you ready to trade those chains for wings? For wings.
Thank you, Tim. Did you write that?
That depends. Do you like it?
Yes.
If you like it, I wrote it.
All right. So
If you
own
don't,
it. That's awesome. Yeah. Thank you. Cynthia writes a lot of our songs too. So
Yeah.
songwriter meets songwriter. And Zizi, she's not here today, but she writes songs too. So thank you all. I appreciate your creativity. It's not one of my gifts. So I totally enjoy when you guys can do that.
Well,
All right.
a different kind of creativity.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. Okay, so Marsha, I'm looking for you.
I'm hiding out, laying in the cut. Okay.
Okay.
Good morning again, everybody. Now is the time for me to, the pleasure that I have to remind you of how you can support our center. It is our conscious giving moment. So basically, there are 3 ways to give. PayPal, I just put the link. I remembered. I just put the link in the chat window. So that if you would like to send your payment electronically, please feel free to do so that way. If you feel more comfortable mailing a check, a physical check, then go ahead. We have our mailing address. It's in the chat window. All of this information can also be found in our newsletters and on our website. And I just love to, you can tell I'm an Amazon shopper. I just love reminding you that if you are an Amazon shopper, Amazon has a charitable giving program called Amazon Smile, and we are registered with them. All you need to do is just link up with our center through the easiest way is through the link I put in the chat window. But if you want to search for us, just put in CSL West Georgia, and you have to put Douglasville. Otherwise, we won't show up. And then once you connect, all you need to do, instead of just doing www.amazon.com, you go to smile.amazon.com. And then Amazon will recognize that you would like part of your purchase to go through their charitable donation program, and they send a portion of what you have spent with Amazon to us. And it is just a lovely partnership. So that is what we're talking about how you can give consciously to our center. And now we're going to please affirm together. I am grateful for the divine givingness circulating abundantly through my life, my community, and my world. And so it is. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Marsha. So Sandy, where are you? There you are. Okay. Please, I told you I was going to let you talk about something during announcements.
Did you all read this from the email from Reverend Sandra this week? I printed it out and I've read it and read it and read it. It's helping me get through these last few days. So I highly recommend that you go to your last email and thought for the day and read this prayer from Ernest Holmes for our country. It is fabulous, fabulous. It was written in 1950, and I was a teenager in high school. And that's many, many years ago. And I voted many times since. And it is relevant today. I highly recommend it.
And it's written by Ernest Holmes, by the way.
Yes, written by Ernest Holmes, 1950.
Mhm. It seemed appropriate for today. Okay, so some of us are doing a workshop. If you would like to join us in a 28-day faith lift, it's not too late. You can start this week, but not after this week. This is it. We started last week. It's we're working on our faith and jumpstarting our new year by supporting one another and and creating the vision and the desires that we have for ourselves this year. And the thing is that you can do it alone. There's no doubt about it. But it's so much better when you do it with friends and when you have support in your life. Okay, so please do join us on Tuesday. If you want to do this now, you have to email me so that you can get the link for the Zoom link. So just mail us at CSL West Georgia. Okay. Let's see. And that email is in the newsletter too. All right. I think that's your spiritual journey, a journal. We still have several more left. If you have not received yours yet, you can still get one. We purchased a bunch of them, and they come to my house, and I mail them out to you. So just go to the email, right? Yeah, there's a link in the email for you to fill out the form. Okay. I think that's all. Floyd was going to do a class on 4 agreements in January. However, I think we're going to put that off for a little while. His wife had knee surgery. I think it was in November, and then he had surgery on his eyes. And so I'm thinking that he's going to need some more time before he can, get up to speed to do that. Okay, we have a board meeting after church today. If you would like to stay on the line for a little while, you're certainly welcome. What we're gonna do is close down the meet. We're not gonna exit the meeting. We're gonna leave the meeting open, but we're gonna turn off our cameras and our volume, and then we'll turn it all back on at 12:30 for the board meeting. And that'll give you, if you wanna go get something to drink or eat or something like that, okay? And everybody is invited to our board meeting. So if you were interested in our church and our community, you want to know what's going on, just hang out for a little while with us. Okay. All right. Did I miss anything, or is there anything else? Okay. Have a great week. Print out Ernest Holmes' prayer and put it someplace that is comfortable for you in case you start getting nervous this week. And this video, I think we did it this summer, but I thought, given what we have been experiencing, it just seems so perfect for today. Okay, Marcia.
It's burning inside, the hurting and the suffering. Minds creating anger, fear and pain, suffocating our times. The tougher it gets, the rougher social media cries. But we see to it that we tweeting only negative lines. We're sick and tired of history, but repeating it twice. Greed, anger and violence, clearly stealing our nights. Feeling it tight between the shoulders with a chill in the spine. Pinching myself, waking up, trying to stop the rewind and move forward towards stories, overcoming our fears. Choosing love over hate, praying, trading hugs over tears. There's only one choice, breaking down the walls and repair every broken heart on this planet till there's no longer fear.
Walls can't hold us in. Fear can't keep us down. Love will rise again. Yeah, it's rising right now. We shall overcome.
it's gonna take much longer.
We shall overcome.
Every time I question them, I getting stronger.
We have just begun.
Gonna make a change, we gotta push much farther.
We shall overcome.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. Young Gandhi couldn't fathom how to deal with himself when he was thrown off the train and the pain that he felt. Mrs. Parks disrespected, dragged into jail because of the color of her skin, organs, tissues, and cells. One day, a young girl was shot on a bus by a man, a terrorist, part of the Taliban. He said, on this land, you have no right to stand for what you believe in. Girls have no chance here. Well, now, that's just the story of three souls who shook our planet after being down on their knees. And it's not gonna stop. Those seeds have now become trees, and as human beings, we'll keep on digging till we find peace.
Yeah, the cynics always say that nothing ever changes. The human nature's bound to stay the same. But it couldn't be more plain that violence never pays, injustice never stays. It's bound to fade away. What if history awaits? What if today's the day? So let's all lead the way. We shall overcome.
Every time I think it's gonna take much longer.
We shall overcome.
Every time I question them, I getting stronger.
We have just begun.
Gonna make a change, we gotta push much farther.
We shall overcome.
We shall overcome. Come on now.
Longer. We shall overcome.
Every time I question them, I getting stronger.
We shall overcome someday.
'Cause I'm feeling it deep in my heart.
Deep in my heart.
I do believe.
I do believe.
I do believe.
We shall someday.
Come on, put your hearts together. Here we go. Woo! I knew it. God had a plan for us to do it. To hit rock bottom before we rise and continue. To first learn greed before we learn to be human. To do wrong deeds before we learn to spread beauty. There's always a plan, and now it's time to take a stand for the right of the planet, every woman and man. We ain't gonna stop, only growing our demands for all beings to feel peace in every heart and land. Thank you, Lord, for the strength and the courage to bring us together and keep our souls nourished. These tough times will only drown in our chorus, because we all believe that the truth is before us. We shall overcome this pain. We shall overcome this day. We pray for love to lead the way.
We shall overcome someday.
We pray for love to lead the way.
Yes, love shall overcome. So let us lead the way. All right, thank you so much for being here today. And We will see you in the board meeting, or we will see you on Tuesday, or we will see you next Sunday. Have a great week every week. And Abe and Eileen are waving goodbye. Abe, Sandy asked you a question about reading, so. Okay. Our closing affirmation. We go forth today knowing that we are God's blessing in the world. And if we are blessing, we are loving. Only good goes from us and only good comes to us. And so it is. And so it is. Amen. Okay. Thank you so much. See y'all next Sunday. Or sooner. Okay.